more Elodie tried to ignore the cold and dark, the more it crept in. Bare branches tapped and scraped against the windows. Tall forest stared inside. Chilled air stepped into the rooms like unwanted visitors. Her fingers fumbled as she set down her game controller and zipped up her jacket. "Be a good girl, Elodie," Mama told her. "Just play your game till I get back." Elodie was tall for an 8-year-old. Everyone said so. But she didn't feel tall right now. Unable to sit there a minute longer, she tore around the downstairs rooms, switching on every light. Better. The brightly lit house looked like a home again. With her heart pumping hard, she blew white breath into her hands. The air was refrigerator cold. Running back into the living room, she gazed at the ashen logs in the fireplace. She wasn't allowed to light the fire by herself, but she was allowed to fetch logs from the woodshed, and if she left it any longer, it would turn pitch dark outside and she'd be too scared to go out there. Mum had gone into town to fetch a bag of potatoes. "Can't make potato mash for the cottage pie without potatoes," she'd said. Mum had been forgetful lately. Forgetful and grouchy and weepy. She said it was the pregnancy. In a month, the baby would be born. Right now, Elodie guiltily thought that Mum's swollen belly was the best and sweetest thing about her. At least once a day, Elodie would steal into the nursery and peek at the empty cot that was waiting for its new arrival. Maybe Mum would like a toasty warm house to return to. The more Elodie thought about it, the more she was sure Mum would. She could dash out to the woodshed and be back within 10 minutes. The sun winked low and red through the bare trees as she darted from the house. A gust of wind lashed a sprinkling of rain across her face. A gale shrieked over the distant hills, reminding her of a pack of wild dogs. The woodshed was all the way at the end of the driveway, near the entry to their property. When Mum wanted wood for the fire lately, she drove down to the shed and packed the wood into the car. She'd said that her belly was too big for her to waddle down there and then back again with a load of firewood. Zipping her jacket higher, Elodie reached the cottage that stood near the woodshed. She briefly slowed her pace to jump on each of the 7 stepping stones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All good children go to heaven. Mum had taught her that rhyme, and now she couldn't walk over the stepping stones without thinking of it. She remembered to keep her distance from the woody, thorny vines that covered the cottage. Sometimes Nana came to stay in the cottage. Elodie wished Nan was there right now. She hesitated once she reached the shed, the entrance as dark as the inside of a snake's mouth. Adders sometimes hid in the woodpile. They should be hibernating now, but if you disturbed a hibernating snake, it might bite. Once, when she was small, she'd uncovered a pile of what she thought was some kind of worms, but they'd been newly born snakes, no thicker than her fingers. She'd been lucky. The mother snake had still been busy spilling out her live young. Snatching up a stick, Elodie poked at the nearest stack of wood. She shuddered, knowing that once adders bite their prey, they go tracking down the ailing animal, sniffing about with their tongues until they found it. She stuck out her tongue, tasting the bitter air, wondering how it was possible to smell things that way. No snake uncoiled itself from the stack. Dropping the stick, she rubbed her arms against the cold, wishing that she'd worn a coat and gloves. She leaned into the shed to gather up 2 pieces of wood, then 2 more. She swore loudly as a splinter pushed itself in under her nail. Mum would be shocked to hear her say those words, but Mum wasn't here, and the splinter hurt. Balancing the pile of wood against her small chest, she kicked the shed door shut behind her. She glanced up at the house. It'd take at least 20 minutes to get the living room properly toasty. She had to hurry if she wanted to do it before Mum got back. Without warning, a figure stepped out from around the side of the cottage. The surprise almost had her dropping her stack of wood. "Hello?" The person didn't speak, just moved closer. At first, she thought it was the person she was expecting.